Okay, whenever you'd like to get started, Matt.
Cool. Well, thank you, David Van Sicklen, AMCC's Operations Director. I'm Matt Bogosian. Good morning. This is AMCC's National 30-minute call. Same time every Monday, 11:30 Eastern, 10:30 Central, 9:30 Mountain, and 8:30 Pacific time. We got a lot going on. We need massive reform to strengthen the American project, and I think that's something we can all agree on. We got weaknesses at home and threats from abroad, and little time to strengthen the ecosystem of support necessary to produce priority products in the key industries. We always talk about defense, energy, transportation, ag, IT, and health. This is our 30-minute national ecosystem call. It's been happening for over 10 years, happens every week, because to build better structures to enable those priority products to be made, we need trusted relationships. And we are talking about that. We have those relationships with you all in what we often call the regional manufacturing ecosystem of support. Those are key to co-creating the common narratives that produce better strategies and actions that can get to those better bottom-up structures that we need to produce those priority products. So that's the work that we appreciate engaging with you all every week, at the beginning of the week with this 30-minute call, and at the end of the week with the AMCC update newsletter that goes out, that's informed by so much of the good input that we get from you all as to what the best evidence is to strengthen our ecosystems of support for manufacturing those priority products. We've co-created that 3-pillar framework to attack the challenge. So we get more folks leaning in on this. We have a whole set of activities around co-creating a manufacturing community ecosystem metrics tool and playbook to identify and assess gaps in regional manufacturing ecosystems of support, so we can craft smarter, more effective interventions. And as so many of you know, those gaps can and do happen in every region, and parts of what we call the big 6 elements of a thriving regional manufacturing ecosystem of support: workforce, supply chain support, research, innovation, entrepreneurship, site development and infrastructure, trade, international investment, operational improvement, and capital access. Each part matters to form a complex system science of sorts that we're getting at, but we all need to lean in from our respective perches. So it's a big project. You're a key player, so please put your name and affiliation in chat, like David said. We have 2 flavors of Monday calls: roundtable calls, which is today, which we've had a bunch of presentations on Monday calls in the past, and those are cool. We love having that. So if you have a best practice or challenge that you want to talk about for a longer period of time on these Monday calls for 10 or 15 minutes, we'd love to schedule you for a future Monday. Just send me or David a note to lock down that. But then other weeks, like today, we have this roundtable call where we want to hear from you, just informally about best practices, challenges, help you need, whatever. I mean, regions around the country do compete with each other, but we need a lot more collaboration, of course, because we're in this international competition with dictators and thieves, and we've got to really row together like we haven't done for many decades. So that's what this project's about, and it's great to see people already using the chat. That's a great tool to make progress quickly and efficiently. So let's get to roundtable comments. We always, on every call, we also call on a few people to introduce themselves at the outset, to say where they are in the ecosystem of support in their region, or what particular part of the big 6 elements of a thriving regional manufacturing ecosystem of support they happen to occupy. Tony Neary, SME, tell us, introduce yourself and lead the way. Thanks.
Hi, Tony Neary, Director of Community Engagement and Workforce Innovation at SME. So I'm on our workforce development team, which has grown significantly over the last 3 years. My heavy focus for the last 18 months is diversity, equity, inclusion, and access. I have the pleasure of sitting on the board of Uniquely Abled Project with David Van Secklin, and I also sit on the board for NCATC, National Coalition of Advanced Technology Centers. My heavy focus right now is K through 8, which everybody keeps saying we need to go early. So I'm developing our strategy, partnerships, product categories, and go to market. So I would imagine by the end of the year, SME will have a solution that we can not just get around the kitchen tables, but get at the lunch tables at schools and start to create awareness of the link between STEM and Industry 4.0.
Awesome, Tony. Great to have you rowing in the same direction, being partners with AMCC and all these folks. Appreciate your leadership there. Michael Mullins, North Carolina.
Matt, how you doing? Thanks for calling me.
Good,
I knew
sir.
that. Good to see you. It's been a while. And also David. My name is Michael Mullins. I'm the Director of Defense Industry Initiatives at North Carolina State University with the extension arm of the College of Engineering called Industry Expansion Solutions. Also manage the Defense Manufacturing Community Support Program. It's a 5-year program with Old CC. We're in year 4 with a focus on advanced textiles and smart fabrics in response to priorities, needs, requirements of the warfighter, the Department of Defense. So it's great to see you guys again. So thanks, Matt.
You too, Michael. Yeah, it's great to see you. We did AMCC Roadshow in North Carolina, and Michael took a laboring oar in helping to co-create that good work. Dean Bartles. Let's try Andy Stetner.
Sorry, this is Dean. It took me a while
Oh, hey,
to
Dean.
get off the mute button. Sorry about that.
No worries.
Yes, so Dean Bartles, I'm the CEO of the Manufacturing Technology Deployment Group. It's the parent holding company for the National Center for Defense Manufacturing and Machining, who run the America Makes program, the first of the Manufacturing USA programs that focuses on additive manufacturing, maturing the technology from TRL 4 through 7 up to 8, 9, and 10. Always look forward to these calls every week, Matt, and really appreciate you including me.
Great. Of course. Andy Stetner, Century Foundation.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Andrew Stetner, Director of Economy and Jobs at the Century Foundation, one of the founding orgs of this wonderful coalition. We work on workforce, both technical assistance and policy, and also a broader industrial policy, framework, and rethinking that in light of some of the big changes in Congress and with trade policy. Thanks to David for throwing in our most recent report on manufacturing prosperity based on 3 community-led workforce initiatives in the Midwest and in Ohio, Michigan, and Chicago, including several AMCC members across those 3 states that were part of our cohort. I'll throw that link in the chat again. Great to see everybody.
Yep, you too, Andy. Marsha Wisely, I see you in the chat, CEO of Atheon. Welcome.
Hi, yeah, good morning, everyone. This is my first time joining the call. I was recommended by Lisa at Refashion Ventures. So we are a startup company. We just went through Techstars, focused in advanced manufacturing, really looking to, I come from industrial automation, creating prototyping tools to help streamline and really make smooth the transition from design to execution, and then overall management of change for manufacturing. So excited
That's
to be
awesome.
here and learn more.
Yeah, glad to have you on the call. That's so important. And kind of on a related point, we have Gretchen Moore, Women in Manufacturing.
Thanks, Matt. Hi, I'm Gretchen Moore. I'm with Women in Manufacturing. I'm the Executive Director of the WIM Education Foundation. We do leadership development and durable skills training for women who work in the manufacturing workforce to expand and accelerate their career pathways. Women in Manufacturing is, we have 34,000 members across the US, and offer a variety of resources and networking opportunities for women who work in manufacturing. So great to be here today.
Great. So other folks that want to introduce themselves or reintroduce themselves, if it's been a while, just raise your hand. We'd love to do that. I want to bring up a couple of things for this roundtable that are important. You know, we have tons of stuff in the AMCC update, and if you don't get it, you should get it. David can connect you, or you can get it online. To it, right? That's what we're trying to do. Is this is bottom up. Barbara.
Hey guys, great to be here. And Andy, I will be at America Makes in Ohio on August 4th, so I'm
I got
super
a frozen
excited.
screen. Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah,
We're
I
down
can
in
now.
We
Yeah.
Ohio
can hear you,
that week, so I get to go to America Makes. I dropped in the chat the Rocky Mountain Advanced Manufacturing Expo that'll be October 7th and 8th. I hope you can join us. We'd love to have you here in Colorado, and manufacturers come and see what we do. Join our trade show.
Awesome. Thank you, Barbara. If you can hear me okay, you guys, I had a little frozen screen there. Yeah. So one of the things I wanted to bring up that you saw in the AMCC update, and AMCC is taking a laboring oar on this national strategy for advanced manufacturing. So there's a NIST, and David can drop this in the chat too. There's an RFI, request for information, to all of us to chime in on what will be a new national strategy for advanced manufacturing. There was one in 2022, I believe, and one in 2018. And so this is our chance to chime in. We have a couple of activities that are going to go right at it. So I want to make sure I raise this on the Monday call and get people to chime in on this. The first, of course, is we've been advertising a lot, this Manufacturing Momentum Summit that's going to be in Detroit, August 5th through 7th. And so that's honchoed by DoD, focused on defense and workforce, with our good friends at the Center for Regional Economic Competitiveness. And we'll be there in spades, and I think many of you will be there too. But that's an important place where we can talk about what ought to go into the new national strategy for advanced manufacturing. It needs to be informed by the bottom-up stakeholders and regional ecosystems from around the country, right? So that's super important. Let's talk about it there. And of course, folks can directly respond to that request for information, but we also should be talking about it here and at those meetings there over the course of the 3 days. A second activity is NIST approached us, the National Institute of Standards and Technology, to partner with AMCC in taking one of these Monday calls and extending it to a larger kind of in real time RFI input process. So we have that tentatively scheduled for August 11th, whereby we're going to expand this call and to even more stakeholders. They're going to use what's it called, David? A Slido platform to take in comments and about what the about answers to. There's 12 questions in this request for information, and they're packed. I mean, going through it already, each one of these questions are massive, right? So we're going to really need a lot of teamwork and a lot of input to effectively inform what goes into it. And so Marcia, is great to have you. We need entrepreneurs, we need all parts of the big six ecosystem of support that I listed, leaning in from private, public, and nonprofit sector leaders. And so those two opportunities, at the in-person in Detroit, and then the August 11th NIST AMCC Monday extended call RFI input session are important. I want to put it out there. And other private sector leaders. Kevin Ross from Accenture is on the call. Kevin, tell folks where you are and how you guys see this opportunity around this national strategy.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. Sorry, clearing my throat here. So just wanted to say that I've been recently put in a new role focused really on our partnership with NVIDIA and using their Omniverse platform as a tool for planning and simulation for new factory build out. So both for greenfield factories and for changes to brownfield factories and process inputs. So a big focus of that is how do we bring onshore components of the GPU manufacturing value chain, and how do we accelerate the data center infrastructure that's being built out across the US right now. So pretty exciting in terms of high-tech manufacturing and advanced manufacturing capabilities. And we're looking at how do we actually utilize these capabilities to help folks across the high-tech industry accelerate their factory development and planning.
Great, Kevin. Thank you. It is if and when you get paper describing that activity, if you could send that our way so we could absorb it, and try to translate it as best for ourselves and our friends, that would be awesome.
Absolutely.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Matt.
Yeah. Other folks, anybody already working on a response to this request for information on a national strategy for advanced manufacturing? No one?
Yeah, Matt.
Come on.
Yeah, so I'm working on it for the boots on the ground. Danny Weirman, everybody, CNC Career Network, and really regional career networks. So I'm kind of the boots on the ground guy that's trying to put together workforce development, like between the nonprofit and the populations they serve, a local trade school or college, sometimes even a high school STEM program that then leads into companies. And then you layer in pre-apprenticeship and apprenticeship if the state has it and they're rocking with that. But so I'm looking to take all of that on the ground knowledge and then try to answer as many of those questions as possible. But you're right, they have a lot to them. So I'm diving in, but it's tough.
Awesome.
You need everybody.
It is tough. It's gonna take a lot of folks chiming in with a lot of good input, and it's got to be authentic. Andy Stetner, please.
Yeah, I mean one strategy piece and then one just kind of high level point that I think is really important for us to make. I think the high level point is, we have to try to really push this, what has been, I think, in general, a bipartisan idea that we need to have these bottoms up investments. I think both, and that was a change. I think there was a bipartisan idea in the past that everything in manufacturing was just about trade and currency. Everything, nothing else mattered. That was the only thing, that's the only policy we ever talked about. And then we started talking about all the work that we're doing. But now we're going to be drifting back to talking most only about trade and currency. And so we need to talk more about the bottom up. The trade and currency provide the conditions, but if you don't have the investments in technology, the investments in workforce, you can do this. So we have to, I think, as many people chiming in and talking about the importance of the institutes, all those pieces, MEP, all these pieces to the revitalization of technology is important. And then I think to the extent that AMCC can get a little ahead in putting together comments as a group, then it makes it easier for people like Daniel and others who want to write their own individual organizations. Then you can kind of crib, and borrow. So maybe if AMCC can get done, 2 weeks before the deadline or something like that, then people that haven't had as much time to put into it can borrow, because they do count the comments in addition to wanting to say something unique.
That's a great suggestion. We plan to do that, Andy. Thanks for the teamwork on that. Mike Aller in Florida. Welcome. Yes.
Yes. Hi, Mike Aller, VP of Strategic Programs for Florida Makes, which is Florida Manufacturing Extension Partnership. With regard to the RFI, a number of us across the MEP network have been working on pulling together some information. Obviously, we at the MEP network have just gone through a 2-year initiative with the Supply Chain Optimization Initiative. So we did a lot of outreach and engagement across a number of different verticals, key strategic sectors, and we're going to try and pull some of the information across that together to be able to inform the RFI, as well as there's a broader sort of reporting element of this. And then obviously there's been a lot of up and down with kind of noise around MEP funding recently, with some very good news in terms of many of the MEP centers that were due to be renewed or due to be recompeted in July were recompeted and renewed and redesignated, and so we're very happy about that. And then also some good news recently with the marks that came out of the appropriations process in both the House and Senate within the last week or so. So we're very, happy. Things seem to be moving forward there. Obviously, there's still a lot of work to be done on everybody's part, but thank you to everybody on the call and everyone within the community that also helped weigh in and support that. Very much appreciate that. And then also for those that are in the MEP network or others who are interested in that conversation around, what are some of the feedback that we've had on some of these key strategic sectors and needs that we have. Happy to have that conversation offline. Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah, no, thanks, Mike. Appreciate your input on co-creating the best responses as possible. Jessica, welcome.
Hi, team. I did write an answer from the shipbuilding standpoint and maritime industry and shipbuilding.
Tell folks where you are in your work. Yeah.
Hi, friends. I'm here. I work at Old Dominion University in the Applied Research Center of Virginia Digital Maritime Center. I am a program manager, which means I came from the deck plates. I have a lot of subject matter expertise. I've worked in shipyards or for a manufacturer for the last 20 to 25 years. So I did write a full response to each and every question, and I've already submitted it. If you want, I will share it with you, Matt. But
Sweet.
I really wanted to focus on, we think maritime and shipyards, and a lot of them are behind a lot of other industries. So if we're going to insert technology and we bring these technology 4.0 and 5.0, it's not just to bring the technology, but then how do we insert them? How do we help meet them where they're at? How do we help them with the data lakes that they have? How do we help them communicate and do what they've always done with their tribal knowledge? And then how do we incorporate the human in the loop going forward so that we have their trust and then we have their creativity and empower the workforce? So yes, Matt, I did. Right.
Well, thank you. And that's the kind of, collective impact we need to engender, right? Is to bring, undoubtedly Jessica's, incredible experience to bear on this thing, and bounce it upon, to the extent folks are, okay with sharing it. Let's talk about it. Let's bounce it around and it can undoubtedly, help strengthen what we're doing by sharing those information. So
one of the pieces is radical collaboration.
Please.
I think we have to do this radical collaboration in such a new way, right? And then
totally.
we have to watch the technical specifications. We've got to figure out how do we simplify all the requirements and the specifications across the board so that we can all communicate and we can all collaborate and solve the problem without making it more convoluted than it needs to be.
Yeah. That's so true. I mean, that's one of the things that we're trying out, Jessica, on this Maritime Ecosystem Exchange. On this call, I've told the story about how we had our National Manufacturing Momentum Summit at the NACO headquarters in DC in December. And one of the threads that came out of it was this concept of let's create these verticals around particular manufacturing industries where regions can align around key areas like workforce, supply chain, tech transfer, et cetera. And so we partnered with NAM, the National Association of Manufacturers. They hosted a meeting in February in DC, and out of that process and a bunch of subsequent virtual calls or whatever, we've co-created what we call the Maritime Ecosystem Exchange, kind of like a radical collaboration expression, Jessica, to see, how we can move farther faster, because we really need to make leaps of change. And as important as the top-down interventions are, but still, it's got to be owned on the ground by regional stakeholders like you, like all of you. You're in one particular region or perch within the ecosystem of support. It's not happening unless everybody's rowing together, and we're so fragmented because of our fragmented governance system has a lot of benefits, but one of the downsides is moving very quickly, right? And trust is the coin of the realm, and that's what these relationship building is like the start of it. but it's got to, you know, go to the other key points of having that common narrative, building a national, but also bottom-up regional implementation strategy. And that's what this national strategy for advanced manufacturing should include, right? To say, look, we're gonna co-create a new, better structure in this country, so more folks from the regional ecosystem of support can have more agency to effectuate strategies that can't on their own be top down. They got to be bottom up. And so so that's why, you know, I don't want to I don't think it's an overstatement. I mean, we all really need to lean in to inform that strategy. And to Andy's point, you know, it has been a bipartisan thing for a long time, and I think we can keep it there if we have enough input from the ecosystem of support. So here we go. I'm going to stop my little filibuster here. We have a couple of minutes left, 3 minutes left. So, folks, anything else? Anybody else want to introduce themselves, where they are in the ecosystem if they haven't talked, or some best practice or challenge you want to share? Any questions? It's great to see so many good stakeholders on the call. Michelle Burris, great to see you back here. Any other comments, input? David Beckerman from Utah. Hi to Linda Larson from Utah. Jeff Porter, remind folks where you are in the ecosystem of support.
Sorry, Matt, diving for the mute button as you get me off guard. I'm a private consultant. I work with startups and mature companies in strategy and process improvement. Also very interested in regional economic development, which is why I sit on these meetings. So I use this as a networking environment. I've recently moved to the northern neck of Virginia, so currently doing some work in that area. So was Jessica's maritime items came to the fore there. So Jessica, more than likely, I'll reach out at some point and have a chat there. A lot of that
That's
work
the way to do it, man.
region.
Also in Virginia, Alan Baker. Hey.
Hey, good. Thanks, Matt. So just a quick comment. You know, I've been monitoring this discussion today, and we now have enough individuals and organizations that are beginning to get serious about implementing AI and machine learning and workflow processes, manufacturing and management processes. Through your good offices, we might want to consider putting together a users collaborative. This kind of follows along the lines of what Jessica just recommended. If we could put together over time a caucus of those of us who are going down this path, whether we're large or small, that would be a huge advantage, especially if you would be willing to read this.
Thank you, Alan. No, appreciate that. To Linda Larson, before we go, yeah.
Yeah, real quick. Okay, so the Small Business Administration, as part of their Made in America initiative in Utah, has rolled out a new program they're going to be spreading across the country, where we're doing 6 listening sessions at different cities in Utah. And we are targeting specific industries. And so last week we did composites, aerospace and defense, life sciences, and food processing. We have 2 more to come. One is with extraction and mining, and the other one is just general manufacturing. It's been phenomenal. We have really learned a lot about issues with primarily regulations that are handicapping our small manufacturers. So stand by. You'll probably be hearing more about it directly from SBA.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Talinda. Appreciate the update. Jeff Hampton from Oregon. It's awesome. I saw you in the chat. Welcome. First time joining. Great to have you a part of, you know, the manufacturing ecosystem of support in AMCC. Let's see. Well, we're at time. We really respect your time. 30 minutes every Monday for years and years and years. Every week we do this, and it really depends on your input and participation. Thanks for giving us input and participation on the AMCC update at the end of the week. Look for that. Hope you guys have a great week. Take good care. All right.
Thank you, everyone.